Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. The Grand Line. An unremarkable island. An extremely heinous event, capable of shocking the world, is unfolding. Major General Mu Fan, how could you dare to do such a thing? The naval captain stared wide-eyed, his face filled with disbelief. He trembled as he looked at the celestial dragon, a world noble whose head was severed and whose death was gruesome. The celestial dragons, the world's nobles, are godlike beings on this vast ocean. Major General Mu Fan actually hacked such a person to death? Soon, a large number of elite naval forces emerged. They surrounded a dashing, composed young man, draped in the righteous cloak of a rear admiral. A female naval captain with long pink hair and a fuchsia uniform walked up to the young man. "Junior brother Mu Fan, is it worth it?" Navy Captain Hina glanced at the gruesome death of the celestial dragon, then at the pitiful corpse of a girl not far away. When she looked at Mu Fan again, her beautiful eyes shimmered with emotion. Like her, Mu Fan was also a disciple of Master Zephyr and the youngest rear admiral in the history of the Navy. He is considered the strongest contender for the next admiral. He should have been a promising representative of justice, but now, everything has turned into a fleeting illusion. Killing a celestial dragon is something the world government absolutely will not allow. Even the Navy headquarters dared not show the slightest favoritism. Even though this celestial dragon brutally murdered the poor girl that Mu Fan had painstakingly rescued from the pirates. It's not worth it. Mu Fan remained calm and composed throughout. Then why did you do that? Hina was very worried about you. Navy Captain Hina was emotionally agitated. He could have easily ignored it, so why risk his future and even his life? Hina-senpai, I mean, girls who are tortured and killed by the celestial dragons don't deserve it. If I had found him earlier, I would have killed this BD sooner. Mu Fan spoke calmly, but no one dared to doubt his words. Because he is Mu Fan, the youngest and strongest rear admiral in the history of the Navy. Junior brother Mu Fan, do you know what this means? Killing a celestial dragon will make you a traitor, and you will be hunted down by the Navy and the world government. If it were you, you might have deployed more than one general. Hina's intelligent and beautiful face was filled with regret, anxiety, and worry. Hina-senpai, stop talking. If the Navy's justice is just a joke in front of the celestial dragons, then I'd rather not be a rear admiral. Swish! Mu Fan threw off his major general's cloak embroidered with the words justice, drew his sword from his waist, and a cold light shot straight into the sky. Senior Hina, I don't want to fight you. When Mu Fan drew the black blade destiny, all the marines present trembled with fear. That black sword is one of the 12 supreme grade swords. He has beheaded no fewer than a dozen pirates with bounties exceeding 100 million, and now he has added the head of a celestial dragon to his list. Of the naval personnel present, besides Mu Fan, the strongest was Colonel Hina. However, although Hina was several generations ahead of Sakuragi, their strength was incomparable. After all, Hinata is several years older than Mu Fan, and is currently only a colonel. And Mu Fan? But he's the youngest rear admiral in the history of the Navy. Moreover, he was promoted to the rank of general based entirely on his military achievements. Although Mu Fan is not a devil fruit user, his strength far surpasses that of Hina. Hina, you are a marine, fulfill your duty. Just as he was struggling with Colonel Hina, an old marine with short purple hair, a burly build, and a giant mechanical arm rushed over. It was none other than the former Navy Admiral, Black Arm Zephyr. Teacher Zephyr. Navy Captain Hina was immediately startled when he saw the newcomer. It seems the world government and the Navy headquarters are already aware of what happened here. Junior brother Mu Fan, you're in danger. Mu Fan, come with me. You'll spend a few years in Impel Down, and I'll find a way to get you out as soon as possible. Zephyr looked at Mu Fan, one of his most promising students, with a complicated expression. He was leading a guerrilla team to hunt down pirates in the nearby waters when he unexpectedly received orders from the Marine headquarters to intercept Mu Fan, a traitorous Marine who had caused a heinous incident. Zeph-sensei, I'm different from you. I've completely lost faith in the world government and the Marine headquarters, and I believe that one day, you will too. So, thank you for your kind offer, Professor Zeph, but impel down? Forget about it. Mu Fan answered seriously. As a transmigrator, he was alone and helpless when he first arrived in the world of One Piece. Zephyr gave him a lot of help, and he will always remember this kindness. However, Zephyr has not yet completely lost faith in the Marine headquarters and the world government. For a veteran Marine, it is not easy to abandon the justice he has believed in all his life. He has already decided to sever ties with the world government, so there's no reason for him to surrender without a fight. Sigh, you're as stubborn as ever, Mu Fan. Well then, let the teacher give you another lesson. Zephyr sighed, then his entire body was covered in armament haki, unleashing his full power. Killing a celestial dragon is almost an unforgivable crime, but if Mu Fan can be imprisoned and impelled down beforehand, there is still a glimmer of hope. This is why the Warring States Association informed him first to intercept Mu Fan. And he didn't have much time left. Because an even stronger naval admiral is already on his way. Then I'll have to offend you, Professor Zephyr. Mu Fan also unleashed a powerful burst of armament haki, seemingly able to rival former Marine Admiral Blackarm Zephyr. He has lived through 18 years, 10 of which were spent in the Navy. He has long been disgusted by the corruption of the world government and the inaction of the Navy headquarters. Those pirates who burned, killed, and looted were certainly despicable. However, the world government, which amassed wealth from the heavens for the celestial dragon's own selfish gain and even granted pirates the legal right to plunder, was far more despicable. At this time, the Navy was like a puppet of the world government. Mu Fan, I'm not playing with them anymore. Ding! Detected that the host has defected from the Navy and embarked on the path to becoming the Supreme Emperor of the pirate world. The Supreme Choice system has been successfully activated. Ding! Host is under naval attack detected. Select trigger. Option 1, defeat former Marine Admiral Zephyr, Blackarm, increase your reputation, agree to Zephyr's proposal after victory, and imprison and impel down to await your opportunity. Reward, perfect level 6 forces of the Navy, beginner, proficient, master, perfect, 1 master key, opens all doors. The host has now mastered all 6 techniques except for the iron block technique, achieving a semi-perfect shaving effect. Option 2, defeat former Marine Admiral Zephyr, Blackarm, increase reputation and escape alive during the subsequent Marine raid. Reward, perfect recovery potion X1, restores you to your peak strength in any state, with a slight boost, skill, immune to petrification. The voice that suddenly appeared in his mind made Mu Fan chuckle. This system is really late. However, Mu Fan ignored the system. He had already become a strongman through his own rigorous training. The emergence of the system is certainly a good thing. However, the system belongs to him, not the other way around. Since it is his system, then his will is the will of the system. Mu Fan. Prepare yourself, you are no match for me. Go to impel down. Chapter 2. Boom. Mu Fan then engaged in a fierce battle with former Navy Admiral Blackarm Zephyr. The entire island was affected. 2 powerful bursts of armament haki clashed violently. The teacher and student leveled the small hills into flat land. Many of the naval personnel watching the battle were shocked by the strength Mu Fan displayed. You should know. Zephyr was not only the teacher of a group of young naval officers, including Mu Fan, but also a former naval admiral. Such an existence is among the strongest in the entire ocean. Although Zephyr is now somewhat old, his strength is absolutely not to be underestimated, far surpassing that of an average Navy vice admiral. Although Mu Fan is known as the youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history, he is still young and, in theory, should not be a match for Zephyr. This is also the opinion of the vast majority of the Navy, including Captain Hina. Now that Teacher Zephyr has arrived, Major General Mu Fan, who has committed heinous crimes, should be brought to justice. But reality surprised everyone. Facing Teacher Zephyr, Mu Fan was not at all at a disadvantage, in fact, he was quite at ease. This guy is a monster. During the battle, Zephyr found it increasingly difficult and couldn't help but laugh and complain. There's no way around it, Mu Fan is just too monstrous. Not only did he rise to the rank of Rear Admiral in the Navy just 3 years after graduation, but his strength has also become incredibly formidable. 5 years. 5 years at most. Zephyr concluded that if Mu Fan were given another 5 years, this guy would definitely become a great general. He will also be the youngest admiral in naval history. Unfortunately, fate is cruel. Mu Fan, stop being stubborn and come with me to impel down. Zephyr's fist, imbued with armament haki, carved a deep crack in the ground, a way of venting his frustration. Mu Fan dodged the ground fissure in an instant, then hovered in midair using the moon step technique. Professor Zephyr, I appreciate your kindness, but today, I must leave. Mu Fan's current mastery of armament haki is only enough to rival that of Zephyr, he is still unable to defeat the latter. But, as the youngest rear admiral in the Navy, he is a time traveler. Armament haki is just one of the techniques he has mastered. In terms of physique, swordsmanship, and even the 6 styles, he is already stronger than the aging Zephyr. Swish! A flash of cold light streaked across the sky, and a slash as bright as the moon obliterating stars erupted from the black blade of destiny. Vast forests and hills on the island were easily cut down, and even the earth was carved into a 1,000-meter deep abyss. Faced with his prized disciple's attack, Zephyr's expression turned frenzied. He realized that the slash was so fast and wide-ranging that he simply couldn't dodge it at his current speed. This is the superb swordsmanship of a great swordsman. Mu Fan, he's only been out of Naval Academy for a few years, and his swordsmanship is already this terrifying? Monster. An absolute monster. I, Zephyr, would call myself the strongest. Bring it on. Zephyr roared, his armament haki surging wildly as he swung his mechanical arm, the Crusher, to meet the slash head-on. The stronger Mu Fan became, the more conflicted and frustrated Zephyr felt. He had to send Mu Fan to impel down, and then do everything in his power to negotiate with the world government to get Mu Fan exonerated. Boom! Mu Fan did not hold back in this strike. He knew that a naval admiral and CP0 officers were already on their way. Therefore, you need to leave as soon as possible. Having withstood a devastating slash, Black Wrist Zephyr's legs caved half a meter into the ground, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. But that imposing body did not waver in the slightest. Mu Fan narrowed his eyes slightly. From any perspective, Zephyr, known as the never-killing general, is a man worthy of respect. Although Zephyr withstood Mu Fan's slash, it still shocked Hina and the other Marines. Shouldn't Teacher Zephyr be following Mu Fan's example and teaching him a lesson? What's the situation now? It seems the one being beaten up is Professor Zephyr. Hina, as the senior student, showed a glimmer of hope alongside her shock on her intelligent and beautiful face. Keep it up. Junior brother Mu Fan. Defeat Master Zephyr and embark on your own quest for justice on the high seas. Before the Navy could even recover from their shock, Mu Fan has struck again. He understood that if he wanted to quickly defeat the current Zephyr, he absolutely needed to increase his speed. Shave. The Navy's 6-style shave, which Mu Fan had already perfected to a near-perfect state, was fully unleashed, instantly transforming into a blur as it unleashed a barrage of attacks towards Zephyr. At this moment, Mu Fan's speed was still far from being comparable to Kizaru's light speed, but it was definitely not slow. Once it reaches full speed, even ordinary observation haki cannot detect it at all. Mu Fan, are you really going to defect from the Navy? Zephyr asked angrily, sensing Mu Fan's determination during the fierce battle. As Mu Fan's teacher, he also had to make a decision today. Because he's a veteran Marine. Professor Zephyr, there's no point in saying more. Perhaps one day you'll end up like me. I am now a traitor to the Navy, I have no choice anymore. The Navy's justice no longer belongs to me. Come on, Professor Zephyr. Mu Fan roared, raising the black sword Destiny, which was wreathed in an extremely powerful aura, ready to strike. As he said, the Navy's justice no longer belongs to him, and in the future, there will be no more Rear Admiral Mu Fan on the high seas. Wake up, Mu Fan! Zephyr and Mufan clashed head-on, their robotic arms, the Crusher, brimming with extremely violent energy. Former teacher and student, now enemies, they will decide the victor in this move. Teacher Zephyr, you will win. Mu Fan, Major General. As the two exuded their powerful auras, the Navy erupted in a rousing cheer. Most of the Navy still firmly believed that Zephyr would win. After all, this was once the non-killing general, Black Arm Zephyr. Young Mu Fan was younger than most of the Marines present, how could he possibly be a match for Zephyr? Of course, a considerable number of Marines in the Navy also admire Mu Fan. However, due to their differing stances, and the fact that Mu Fan was already a traitor to the Navy, they dared not openly support him. Boom! 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 As Mu Fan and Zephyr engaged in their final battle, the entire island was ravaged by a storm, nearly affecting even the entire Navy. And when the smoke of battle clears, what happened next left all the Navy personnel present speechless. All I saw was the teacher and student stood on opposite sides. Mu Fan remained calm, though his clothes were dusty. In contrast, former Admiral Black Arm Zephyr was in a much worse state. Not only was blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, but his mechanical arm had even been severed in two. He had multiple injuries on his body, and his breathing was much weaker. The former Admiral has been defeated? Mu Fan defeated Teacher Zephyr? At this moment, all the Marines, and even Hina, were utterly shocked. After all, no one expected that Mu Fan could defeat Zephyr so easily. Thank you, Professor Zephyr. Compared to the shock of the other naval personnel, Mu Fan remained calm. Although he had a chance to defeat Master Zephyr, it wouldn't be that easy. In other words, Master Zephyr was intentionally letting him go. Damn it, you actually lost to your own disciple. Get out of here. If I see you again, I'll throw you into the prison. Zephyr clutched his chest, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and cursed angrily. Mu Fan nodded in acknowledgement and then prepared to leave. However, at that moment, a golden light suddenly flashed across the sky. In the next instant, golden light condensed, and a tall, slender figure quickly took shape. Wow, the youngest Rear Admiral in naval history, that's terrifying. Chapter 3. The Grand Line. The sea area surrounding the island where Mu Fan is located. A pirate ship, dragged by two giant snakes, was returning from its plunder and happened to pass by this area. Sister Boa Hancock, we've figured out what happened on that island. It was the Navy hunting down a traitorous admiral. Sandasonia, one of the Amazonian lily princesses, reported to the throne. Boring. Get away from those stinky men on that island. Prepare yourself, I wish to take a bath. The sudden appearance of Admiral Kizaru shattered Mu Fan's plan to escape quickly. As the absolute speed king of the entire ocean, with Kizaru here, Mu Fan's escape will undoubtedly become exponentially more difficult. Of course, if Kizaru is just coasting along, that's a different story. Mu Fan had dealt with Kizaru before and knew that the latter's behavior was always unpredictable, and whether he would slack off or not seemed to depend solely on his mood. Mr. Zephyr, look at your good student, he's so serious about dealing with you. Seeing that Zephyr had already been defeated, Admiral Kizaru made a lewd remark. Borsellino, stop with the sarcastic remarks. Did you come alone? Zephyr said with some dissatisfaction. What the hell does Borsellino mean by saying that? Aren't you my student, Zephyr? Zephyr had a lot of opinions about Kizaru's over-reliance on his devil fruit abilities. All they do at work is slack off every day. Oh, and me too, Ms. Zephyr. Just then, a bicycle slowly rode up, its path paved with ice. Another admiral. The Marines present were practically going crazy. It's important to understand that as the highest combat force in the Navy headquarters, even Marines might not have the chance to see an admiral even once every few years. But now, 2 top generals appeared at once. In addition, there's former Navy Admiral Zephyr. With this kind of lineup, taking down one of the 4 emperors in the New World wouldn't be a problem, right? This shows that the world government and the Celestial Dragons harbor deep hatred for Major General Mu Fan. Ah, it's been a long time, Mu Fan. Admiral Aokiji didn't forget to greet Mu Fan. He had a good relationship with Mu Fan and thought highly of the latter. It's a real pity. The world government's mission for him and Kizaru this time is to take Mu Fan's head. Long time no see, General Kuzan. Mu Fan responded, but his body seemed somewhat tense. Even if Zephyr didn't intervene, he still wouldn't stand a chance against 2 admirals. Fortunately, he had already prepared a backup plan. And he guessed right, it was Kizaru and Aokiji who arrived. If it were Akainu who came this time, he'd probably be in big trouble. Because of their conflicting ideals of justice, his relationship with Akainu has never been friendly. Professor Zephyr, Senior Hina, you should lead the troops onto the ship first. The upcoming battle will affect everyone. Mu Fan addressed the assembled naval personnel earnestly. He had served in the Navy for 10 years, and many of the Navy personnel present were his former subordinates. Let this be his last bit of goodwill towards the Navy. Oh my, Zephyr-sensei, leave this to us. Admiral Aokiji used ice to seal the Celestial Dragon's corpse and handed it to a Marine, then said. Kuzan, Borsellino, remember this, Mu Fan was also my disciple, and I was once the unkillable general. Zephyr hesitated for a moment, then left these words behind before leading the Navy away from the island and onto the ship. Oh, Mu Fan, you're highly regarded by the old guys. After everyone left. On the island, Mu Fan confronts 2 naval admirals. Kizaru quipped. Mu Fan did not respond to Kizaru's teasing. At times like this, fighting is enough, words are useless. Buzz. Mu Fan unleashed a slash first, thus beginning the battle. Nobody expected it. Facing 2 naval admirals, Mu Fan dared to launch the first attack. The Navy personnel who had already boarded the ship were still keeping a close eye on the battle on the island. Everyone wants to know. Just how strong is Mu Fan, who is known as the youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history? This is likely Mu Fan's last battle. After today, there probably won't be a rear admiral Mu Fan on this vast sea anymore. Boom. 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 To everyone's surprise, the battle between Mu Fan and the 2 naval admirals did not last long. They didn't even exchange more than a few blows. Because, for some unknown reason, this small island suddenly began to collapse. A massive amount of magma erupted wildly, and the resulting airflow directly blew Mu Fan and his 2 companions off the island. Ha ha ha, no wonder Mu Fan kept slashing at the ground. At that moment, Zephyr burst into laughter. He was pleased that he had trained a disciple who was both courageous and resourceful. But then, his expression darkened slightly. Unfortunately, Mu Fan is no longer a member of the Navy. Kuzan and Borsellino will not let Mu Fan go easily. Ice Age. As expected. Even as lava spewed across the sky, it was still mercilessly frozen by Admiral Aokiji. A massive, ice-bound wall appeared high in the sky. Having escaped using the force of the magma eruption, Mu Fan cleaved through the ice wall with all his might using his black blade. Immediately afterwards, several more ice birds attacked. Mu Fan knew this was not the time to linger in battle, so he used Moon Step to accelerate and dodge. However, although he dodged the ice bird, he was still enveloped in a sky full of golden light. The 8-foot jade ornament. Admiral Kizaru unleashed his ultimate attack mid-air. Countless dazzling light bullets rained down on Mu Fan high in the sky. As the powerful light projectiles struck Mu Fan's joints, the force of the impact repeatedly blasted him away. When the golden light faded, Mu Fan, like a shooting star, disappeared into the distant horizon. If I can survive like this, then there's nothing more I can do. I can't believe it, Admiral Kizaru muttered, gazing into the distance. This time he didn't slack off. Under the relentless bombardment of the 8-span curved jewel, even with Mu Fan's strong physique and domineering aura, even if they don't die, they will surely be crippled. Oh dear, that's a bit strange. Why would Mu Fan choose this method? Even if he escapes successfully, the price is too high, isn't it? Admiral Aokiji held the Black Sword Destiny, which belonged to Mu Fan, in his hand. At this moment, this famous sword, one of the 12 supreme great swords, was humming incessantly. It seemed to know that the one holding her hand at that moment was not her master. This is troublesome. Let's go, Borsellino. Go back and report. From now on, there will be no more Mu Fan on the high seas. What a pity that the future seas are one less terrifying monster. Boom. A loud bang plunged the entire perfume serpent into chaos. Because of the place where the sound was produced. It's Lady Snake's bathroom. Someone saw that the object that fell appeared to be a man. A man actually fell into Lady Snake's bathroom? Chapter 4. Mu Fan's mind was somewhat confused. In order to successfully escape and to make the Navy and the world government temporarily give up the pursuit, he deliberately took a full hit of the Yasakani no Megatama. Ouch, that hurts. That damn Kizaru, didn't he slack off this time? Mu Fan felt a bit humid and hot around him, and he struggled to open his eyes in the mist. So fair-skinned, such long legs. Wait, this pattern is the hoof of a soaring dragon? The celestial dragon's exclusive badge? Who is that graceful figure from behind? Mu Fan was severely injured by the 8-foot jade ornament, and his mind was still reeling. At this time, he mistakenly believed that the alluring, naked figure before him was the poor girl who had been brutally murdered by the celestial dragons. Mu Fan struggled to his feet and gently patted Qianying's shoulder. He could feel the other person's body trembling. Are you scared? Are they still shrouded in the shadow of being abused by the celestial dragons? Don't be afraid, that celestial dragon has been killed. From now on, I will make them atone for their sins. Mu Fan tried his best to comfort him. At that moment, he could feel the other person trembling even more violently. Clang! 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 The sudden knocking on the door puzzled Mu Fan. But he immediately took off his somewhat tattered outer garment and draped it over Qianying's body, covering her with the heavenly dragon's hoof. Then, a tremendous force sent him flying, and he immediately lost consciousness. A system notification popped into his mind a split second before he fainted. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the mission. You have received the following rewards: Perfect Recovery Potion X1, Skill, Immune to Petrification. When Mu Fan woke up again, he found himself handcuffed. What came into view was a group of women. He vaguely remembered two of them. Sandasonia, Marigold. The two princesses of the Amazonian Lily Kingdom. So this pirate ship is the Kuja pirates from Amazon Lily? Could the woman in his previous dream be? Mu Fan suddenly realized what was happening. No wonder the woman in my dream had such a seductive and alluring figure. Could it be the world's most beautiful woman, the Pirate Empress, Boa Hancock? Unexpectedly, he had just escaped the Navy's pursuit when he ended up on the Pirate Empress's ship. Fortunately, the system rewards include petrification immunity. Having been severely injured and almost completely crippled, if he were to encounter the Pirate Empress's petrification ability at this moment, his chances of survival would be slim. "Hey, man, you're dead. How dare you peep at Sister Snake Princess taking a bath?" When Sandasonia of the Kuja pirates saw Mu Fan wake up, she said resentfully. They have already found out Mu Fan's identity. A former rear admiral, now a traitor to the Navy. But whoever peeks at the Pirate Empress taking a bath will undoubtedly die. Moreover, Mu Fan's joints were severely injured. It's clearly been scrapped. I reckon even the most ordinary warrior of the Nine Serpents clan could kill Mu Fan now. Could I have some water? Mu Fan smiled and didn't argue with Sandasonia. He is no longer in the Navy. As long as the Kuja pirates don't massacre and plunder civilians, he won't interfere. Even he wouldn't mind having a deeper conversation with the Pirate Empress. Let's be friends. No, Lady Snake is coming out soon. You'll be turned to stone. A female warrior from the Kuja pirates shouted angrily. In the eyes of the entire Kuja pirates, Mu Fan was doomed to die. Lady Snake will never let a man who has entered her bathroom get away with it. Petrification is the best way to die. Maybe it'll be chopped into 8 pieces and thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Tap. 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 Just then, the sound of high heels clicking could be heard. The sound was quite rhythmic, melodious, and elegant. Mu Fan raised his head and looked at the tall, slender figure slowly walking towards him. His first reaction. Yes, it's those legs. The Pirate Empress strode in, wearing a purple cheongsam and with her long, flowing black hair cascading down her back. A face of unparalleled beauty. Beautiful eyes like stars. Fair and delicate skin. As well as an incredibly stunning figure. Mu Fan also knew many beautiful women in the Navy. But apart from a handful of individuals who are slightly inferior to the Pirate Empress, the rest are like fireflies compared to the bright moon. I wonder if it's because of the power of the love fruit. Mu Fan, who wasn't particularly interested in women to begin with, was somewhat tempted when he saw the Pirate Empress. She truly deserves the title of the world's most beautiful woman. If I could marry a woman like that, my life wouldn't have been in vain. The Pirate Empress walked up to Mu Fan, looking down at him with an extremely arrogant expression. Lord Snake Princess, kill him. Turn him to stone, Lady Boa Hancock. The female warriors of the Kuja pirates started to jeer. This is the norm. No man has ever escaped unscathed after offending Lady Snake, most of them turned to stone. Give him water. Just when everyone thought the Empress was about to execute Mu Fan. The Empress's words surprised everyone. Lady Snake Princess, won't you turn him to stone? Does my command need to be repeated a second time? Whatever I do is right. The Empress's haughty, non-committal response silenced everyone. A female soldier handed Mu Fan a glass of water and unlocked his handcuffs. Mu Fan is currently in a severely injured state and appears very weak. The Nine Serpent clan has always valued martial prowess and disdains to be wary of the weak. Besides, Lady Snake is here. Most people thought that Lady Snake was just in a good mood today, and that the man would be petrified after he finished drinking the water. Mu Fan didn't pay much attention to it. The most urgent task now is to restore our strength. Otherwise, even if he is immune to petrification, in his current state, the Pirate Empress could easily finish him off. That damn Kizaru, he really went all out. After finishing the water, Mu Fan took out the perfect recovery potion awarded by the system and drank it all in one gulp. Buzz. After drinking the perfect recovery potion, Mu Fan immediately felt a warm current coursing through his body. The lost power was quickly regenerated within his body, even becoming slightly stronger than before. Although his physical injuries have not yet healed, they no longer affect his combat effectiveness. After their strength is restored. Mu Fan stood up, looked up at the sky, gazed at the distant sea, and took a deep breath. From this moment on this vast ocean, his identity is no longer that of a naval officer. The Pirate Empress did not notice Mu Fan's change. At this moment, the world's most beautiful woman looked at Mu Fan with an arrogant expression and said in a cold tone, "Now that the water is gone, take what you've seen with you into the grave." The Pirate Empress had no intention of giving Mu Fan any chance to speak. Although Mu Fan helped her cover up the shameful mark on her back, this also proved that Mu Fan had seen the mark. "Since you've seen it. If you're a man, then you must die." Sweet breeze, melodious melodious melodious. The Pirate Empress made a heart shape with her hands, and streams of pink heart-shaped sweet wind swept towards Mu Fan. "Lady Boa Hancock has made her move. Humph, turn into stone, you stinking man." The Kuja pirates seemed to have already foreseen Mu Fan's fate, to be petrified. Only, what happened next? Command all members of the Kuja pirates. Especially the Pirate Empress, who was completely surprised and greatly shocked. Chapter 5. A gentle sea breeze is blowing. Mu Fan, who should have been petrified, stood calmly in place. It seemed as if nothing had happened. A gentle breeze ruffled his dark, tousled hair, and a hint of steely resolve lurked beneath his handsome face. "That's the mark of 10 years of justice." The female warriors of the Kuja pirates were stunned for a few seconds upon seeing this scene. So much so that the shock was temporarily forgotten. Who would have thought that among such unattractive men, there could be someone so good-looking? They make such a good match for Lady Snake. Wait, something's not right? How come he wasn't petrified? Snake Princess's sweet breeze. How could it be ineffective against a man who was almost crippled by serious injuries? "Hello, Boa Hancock, the Pirate Empress. My name is Mu Fan." Ignoring the female warrior's shock, Mu Fan took the initiative to greet the Empress. He was used to holding the knife handle with one hand when chatting while standing, but when he reached out, he found he was holding nothing. His sword was destined for him. It was probably picked up by Aokiji and Kizaru and taken to report to the world government. Damn it, that was his companion he'd worn for 6 years, the one that had helped him slay countless enemies. "You, come with me to the cabin." The Pirate Empress was not as shocked as the others. But this world's most beautiful woman clearly had many doubts about Mu Fan. Before she finished speaking, the Empress turned and arrogantly returned to her cabin. "You filthy man, just wait until you're chopped into 8 pieces." Such a voice came from among the 9-headed serpent warriors. It is obvious that in the eyes of the vast majority of female soldiers, even though Mu Fan unexpectedly couldn't be petrified, he still couldn't escape his fate of death. Because Lady Snake Princess absolutely hates men. Mu Fan smiled noncommittally. He then appeared to be enduring the pain and slowly walked towards the cabin. He is still in some pain, but it's nothing serious. But these female warriors of the 9-headed serpent clan must have believed that he was severely injured and crippled. Otherwise, they probably would have attacked him already. It makes sense, if you were hit by Kizaru's merciless Yasakani no Megatama, you'd be crippled even if you didn't die. Hee. I bet the world government and navy all think he's either dead or crippled. Former Rear Admiral Mu Fan, supposedly the youngest and strongest Rear Admiral in naval history, thankfully is severely injured and crippled, otherwise even Sister Boa Hancock would have some trouble dealing with him. Sandasonia watched Mu Fan walk into the cabin and sighed softly. Based on the intelligence they were able to gather, Mu Fan is very strong. Moreover, the battle on that small island was so massive that it's said the Marine headquarters even deployed an Admiral, which is enough to demonstrate Mu Fan's original strength. However, that's all in the past. Sister Snake Princess, there's no way she'll let a man who's seen the mark of shame get away with it. Sandersonia, why is the Navy hunting this guy down? It's strange. If the intelligence is true, the Navy should be taking him very seriously. Did he commit some unforgivable crime? I don't know, it doesn't matter anyway, he's going to die soon enough. Mu Fan entered the inner cabin of the Perfume Serpent, where the Empress's cabin was located at the deepest part. As for what the Empress was planning, Mu Fan couldn't guess. After all, this world's most beautiful woman is extremely proud. But now that Mu Fan has regained his strength, there's no need to worry too much. He also wanted to know why the Pirate Empress wanted to be alone with him. You know about the flying dragon's hoof. The Pirate Empress's peerless beauty was as cold as ice. The hoof of the flying dragon is the deepest pain in her heart. This Mu Fan seems to be quite familiar with the flying dragon's hoof and the celestial dragons. The celestial dragon's signature emblem, the flying dragon's hoof, is no secret. Your tone is so calm. As a former marine, aren't you afraid of the celestial dragons? The Pirate Empress frowned slightly, her peerless beauty was breathtaking. She was puzzled. In a sense, the Navy is nothing more than a tool of the celestial dragons. This young naval traitor seems to care absolutely nothing about the celestial dragons. Ha 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 ha. Mu Fan smiled, laughing out loud. Are you kidding me? He's afraid of celestial dragons? Half a day ago, he used the mandate of heaven to cut off the head of the celestial dragon who had brutally murdered a commoner girl, one slice at a time. Would he be afraid of the celestial dragons? What are you laughing at? I'm asking you a question, man. Tell me, are you afraid of the celestial dragons? Or rather, does the mark on my back frighten or disgust you? A hint of urgency flashed across the stunningly beautiful face of the Pirate Empress. Do you know why I was so badly injured? Mu Fan did not answer the Empress's question directly, but instead sat comfortably on the bed next to her. Soft and fragrant. The world government ordered Marine headquarters to dispatch 2 admirals to capture me, along with tens of thousands of elite naval personnel, and my instructor at the Naval Academy, Black Arm Zephyr. What did you do? Upon hearing this, the Pirate Empress was deeply shocked. She did not doubt Mu Fan's words. Because they hadn't been too far from the island where the naval infighting had occurred, she did indeed sense several powerful auras. In addition, the commotion on that island was too great, and it has now been completely destroyed. In conclusion, this guy named Mu Fan is probably telling the truth. 2 admirals, plus a former admiral, and tens of thousands of elite naval troops. What a lineup! Even with the Empress's pride, she had to admit that this lineup was truly terrifying. So, what exactly did Mu Fan do? What could possibly warrant such a massive maneuver by the world government and the Marine headquarters to hunt down a traitorous Marine? Could it be that they've offended a celestial dragon? That's right, and that's the only explanation. Upon realizing this, the Pirate Empress's gaze towards Mu Fan held a hint of approval. As a member of the Navy, how dare he provoke a celestial dragon? This guy's got some guts. I killed a celestial dragon. The Pirate Empress was struck dumb upon hearing this. Her exquisitely beautiful lips parted slightly, expressing her shock at that moment. You said you killed a celestial dragon. The Empress's voice trembled slightly. She could probably already guess whether it was true or false. After all, Mu Fan had no reason to lie. It's important to understand that even verbally offending a celestial dragon can be a very troublesome matter if the world government's intelligence agencies find out. Mu Fan's current identity is that of a traitorous naval officer, there's no need for him to lie like this. Add to that the terrifying lineup chasing Mu Fan. This guy actually killed a celestial dragon. Even though the Pirate Empress is now powerful and holds a prestigious position, she is still deeply shocked. At the same time, she also developed a strong interest in the exceptionally handsome man before her. This was her first time. Don't you already have the answer? Mu Fan had anticipated the Empress's reaction. After all, in this world, killing a celestial dragon is a major event that would shock the entire world. This is especially true for those who have been harmed by the celestial dragons. I can roughly guess what you and your two sisters went through, but the fault doesn't lie with you. The fault lies with those damned celestial dragons, and it's those celestial dragons who should be hated and feared. Boa Hancock, you are an emperor of a nation, and also a powerful pirate empress. What right do mere celestial dragons have to be a source of pain for you? Those trash don't deserve it. These words struck Boa Hancock, the pirate empress, like a thunderbolt. Chapter 6. Mu Fan hadn't finished speaking. The world's most beautiful woman, the Pirate Empress, had her star-like eyes filled with astonishment. A blush, never before seen on her stunningly beautiful face, appeared. The man before her spoke words she had never heard before, which deeply moved her. Ding! Congratulations, host, you have initially won over the heart of the Pirate Empress. Select to trigger. Choose option 1. Immediately defeat and capture the 3 Pirate Empress sisters, and send them to the Celestial Dragon's residence in Marigosa to gain their forgiveness and a chance to rejoin the Marines. Reward: human fruit, mythical zoan, dark god form. A fruit bearing the name of a god, capable of devouring all things and unleashing endless darkness. Option 2. Travel with the Pirate Empress to the Amazon Lily Kingdom, and soon after to Marineford, the Marine headquarters, to retrieve the Sword Destiny during the Marineford War. Reward: human fruit, mythical zoan, god of elements form. A fruit bearing the name of a god, granting control over the 7 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, and lightning. The system suddenly beeped. This surprised Mu Fan for a moment. My first reaction was surprise at the Empress. The world's most beautiful woman, and she's already captured his heart? It's that simple? The second surprise came from the rewards of the system task. They're 2 god fruits. Dark god form and elemental god form. To be honest, faced with these 2 fruits, Mu Fan couldn't help but be tempted. Darkness that can devour everything. He controls the 7 elements. What terrifying fruits these are! As the youngest Rear Admiral in naval history, Mu Fan has come into contact with quite a few devil fruits. Naturally, there are also Logia-type devil fruits among them. However, Mu Fan didn't take any of them because his goal wasn't just to become a Marine Admiral, so he was very cautious about choosing devil fruits. I'd rather have nothing than settle for something less. Mu Fan originally preferred the Rumble fruit, but unfortunately, it was eaten by Enel, and he also lost to Straw Hat Luffy. That's a disgrace to the Rumble fruit. Therefore, a powerful and suitable devil fruit is exactly what Mu Fan needs right now. The reward for this system task was just right. As for his choice, Mu Fan didn't hesitate at all. He and the world government have different paths and cannot work together. Not to mention, with the world's most beautiful woman, do those trashy celestial dragons even deserve it? Mu Fan, you're so close, I feel a little hot. The cabin space is not very spacious. Both Mu Fan and the Pirate Empress are very tall. Therefore, the space felt a little cramped, and the distance between the 2 people was less than half a meter. Mu Fan could even see the beads of fragrant sweat on the Empress's jade-like neck. The world's most beautiful woman has a curvaceous and extremely alluring figure. Even Mu Fan found it difficult to resist at such close range. Mu Fan, I like you very much. This moment, the Pirate Empress seemed to find courage from nowhere, her stunning face now radiating a shy charm. Mu Fan understood the principle of feigning indifference to lure the enemy into a trap. Especially for a proud queen like the Empress. However, facing the world's most beautiful woman, it's indeed very difficult to handle. How about we have a slightly more in-depth discussion? This would also allow for a more multifaceted and in-depth understanding. As Mu Fan and the Empress uncontrollably drew closer to each other, the atmosphere began to become tense. The Pirate Empress's stunningly beautiful face was flushed with embarrassment. Her fair and delicate face looked almost dripping with moisture. Bang! Just as Mu Fan and the Empress were about to experience their passionate encounter, the hatch was suddenly and violently forced open. Sister Snake Princess, why is there no sound at all? Are you all right? It turned out that Sandasonia and Marigoldo, seeing that there was still no movement inside the cabin, had broken in with several elite female warriors out of concern. Result: as soon as the door opened, they witnessed an extremely passionate scene. At this moment, almost simultaneously, the eyes of all the 9 snake warriors present turned into hearts, and nosebleeds gushed out. Because, at that moment, the Empress was simply too beautiful. Extremely sexy. You, all of you, get out of here. The Pirate Empress's blushing face instantly turned icy cold. With a hasty gesture, the Empress was furious. Oh, this! The Sandasonia sisters were almost dumbfounded. Holy shit! What's going on? Why is Boa Hancock hugging and kissing a traitorous Marine so intimately? Are you kidding me? That BD should be chopped into 8 pieces and thrown into the sea to feed the fish by now, shouldn't he? So what exactly is going on about lying on the Snake Princess's dragon bed? They felt as if the sky they believed in had collapsed. Hancock, calm down, they're worried about you. Mu Fan calmed himself down and suppressed his surging blood pressure before advising the Empress. Upon hearing this, the female warriors of the 9 Serpent clan were all startled and quickly retreated as a group. This guy's got a death wish. How dare he lecture Lady Snake? Lady Snake is high above everyone else. How could she possibly listen to anyone else? Alright, is this a request for me? I will certainly fulfill it. Ah, this is the tempest of love. Everyone was stunned when they saw the Empress acting as docile as a kitten in front of Mu Fan. The worldviews of everyone, including the Sandasonia sisters, were almost shattered. If they weren't certain that the woman before them was indeed Lady Snake, they would never have believed what they were seeing. How could Boa Hancock, the world's most beautiful woman, the Amazon Lily Empress, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and the proud Pirate Empress, possibly be so gentle towards a man? Unbelievable. But the fact was right before their eyes, leaving them no choice but to believe it. A storm of love. Mu Fan murmured something, then got up to leave the cabin. Mu Fan, where are you going? The Pirate Empress asked anxiously. Go outside for some fresh air. Why don't you straighten your clothes first? Mu Fan didn't turn around. He instinctively reached for the hilt of the knife again, but once more he grasped only empty air. He sighed and walked out of the cabin. Marineford War. Famous sword destiny. Devil fruit. Naval headquarters, just you wait. When I, Mu Fan, ascend Marineford once again. World government, Navy, what will your reaction be? Marine headquarters, Marineford. Inside the Marshal's office, Fleet Admiral Sengoku the Buddha was clutching his head, looking somewhat unwell. Today, not only has he lost the future of the Navy, but he has also been placed under tremendous pressure. Opposite Sengoku stood a naval vice admiral with his sword at his side. To be precise, he is a candidate for admiral. Vice Admiral, Momuzagi-jun. At this time, this admiral candidate exuded an imposing aura, his delicate hand never leaving his sword, Kinpura. Marshal of the Warring States period, is Xiao Mufan really courting death? Momuzagi's voice trembled slightly. Mu Fan, he was the junior she recommended to enter the Naval Academy. Should the future of the Navy be ruined for the sake of one celestial dragon who harms civilians? Mu Fan took a full hit from the 8-foot curved jewel. Even if he's still alive, his strength will definitely be completely destroyed. The Warring States period did not conceal anything. In fact, he also felt regret over Mu Fan's demise. After all, he was the youngest rear admiral in naval history. Originally, Zhang Guo believed that within 5 or 6 years, Mu Fan would surely achieve the strength of a great general. Damn Borsellino! Momuzagi-jun's beautiful eyes welled up with tears, glistening like raindrops. Jun, we are the Navy, and Maki Fan was once too. Some things are beyond our control, this is his fate. Go and hold your post. The Navy is about to fight an unprecedented war. Fleet Admiral Sengoku offered words of comfort. After Momuzagi left, Sengoku's gaze became even more complicated. Mu Fan's fate is unknown, but the legendary sword destiny has been retrieved, so we can give an explanation to the celestial dragons for now. But for the Navy, losing Mu Fan is a huge blow to morale. This also means that the upcoming major battle will be even more difficult for the Navy. After all, the Navy's adversary is none other than that man who is hailed as the strongest in the world. Chapter 7. The Perfume Serpent. News of what happened in the cabin spread throughout the entire ship. After that, no female warrior from the Nine Snake clan dared to bother Mu Fan anymore. Even a significant number of female warriors changed the way they looked at Mu Fan. That was pure awe. After all, this was the first time they had ever seen someone who could make Lady Snake so gentle. What's more, Mu Fan is so handsome, and his demeanor is so extraordinary. Although the Nine Serpent clan is known as a warrior race, women, after all, can't help but have a gossipy nature. Many female warriors have already gathered together to discuss the names for the future children of the Empress and Mu Fan. After promising the Empress that he would return to Daughter Island with her, Mu Fan then walked to the top of the snake's head and sat cross-legged. Because his external injuries didn't look like they had healed, the Empress thoughtfully bandaged them up. Mu Fan didn't refuse and actually quite enjoyed it. At this time, he faced the sea breeze and gazed at the endless ocean. The last time I stood at the bow of a ship and enjoyed the view was on a naval warship. At that time, he was still a rear admiral in the Navy, and the Destiny Star was still hanging on his waist. Unfortunately, everything has changed now. He will surely take back what is destined for him. But he will never serve in the Navy again. In fact, Mu Fan did not hate the Navy. After all, that was the place where he had lived for nearly 10 years. Moreover, there are many of Mu Fan's elders and comrades in the Navy. For example, Aunt Momuzagi, who was always very kind to him, taught him swordsmanship, and recommended him to the Naval Academy. He was also treated well by teachers like Zephyr and Lieutenant General Tsuru. Among the young Navy personnel were many classmates and friends, such as Hina, Smoker, Tashiji, and so on. However, all of that is in the past. Mu Fan still has feelings for these elders and friends, but their positions are completely different now. Perhaps we'll meet again on the battlefield someday. Mu Fan already had plans for what to do next. First, we must go to Marineford to retrieve our destiny and obtain the fruit of the gods. As for how much they will participate in the Marineford War, that depends on the situation. But since Mu Fan is no longer a marine and has a blood feud with the celestial dragons, it is necessary for him to establish his own power. Since the world government is ruthless, the Navy is like a puppet. Then he will dominate the seas, become emperor, and create his own just order. The celestial dragons, who once held high above all others, will one day fall from their divine thrones to atone for the heinous sins they have committed over the past 800 years. Of course, that's a story for another time. Mu Fan just wants to rest for 2 days to heal his external injuries. Going to Daughter Island is a good choice. This closed country will not be disturbed. Of course, the key is that there is an empress. Thump. Just as Mu Fan was contemplating life, suddenly, a dark shell hurtled towards the perfume serpent. Mu Fan frowned slightly. This is the first half of the Grand Line, how dare someone challenge one of the 7 warlords of the sea? Boom! The cannonball was detonated by Rindu, a sniper from the Kuja pirates, when it was still 10 meters away from the perfume serpent. But then, a barrage of more than a dozen shells rained down from the sky. The Kuja pirates, being a Shishibukai crew, easily destroyed more than a dozen cannonballs. However, very soon, a pirate ship twice the size of the perfume serpent sped over. The skull and crossbones flag on the pirate ship features a hand and a withered flower. Dasmi, the ruthless pirate who destroyed a beautiful woman, with a bounty of 150 million berries, dares to provoke the Pirate Empress. Seeing the pirate ship approaching from the opposite direction, Mu Fan smiled disdainfully. This pirate was once on his kill list, but he defected from the navy before it was his turn. He never expected to run into him here. But Mu Fan was truly impressed. This Dasami is a madman who finds pleasure in abducting and toying with women. It's not like they need to provoke the Pirate Empress, is it? Is your brain failing you? Enemy ships are attacking. Pirate Empress Boa Hancock instantly exited the cabin and arrived beside Mu Fan. My dear, don't worry, I won't let anyone hurt you. Anyone who dares to touch you, I'll chop them into 8 pieces and feed them to the fish. The world's most beautiful woman's face was filled with determination and coldness, but when she looked at Mu Fan, her face flushed red again. She didn't care whether Mu Fan had lost all his strength. The man she falls in love with, as long as she falls in love with him, that's enough. Ah, the tempest of love is truly hard to resist. It's nothing, just an arrogant little brat. Mu Fan was stunned for a moment. The Empress's darling had truly caught him off guard. Even if this world's most beautiful woman is love-struck, things are progressing a little too fast, aren't they? However, it suits his taste perfectly. Lura, as expected of the world's most beautiful woman, you're absolutely gorgeous. Boa Hancock, come into my arms, I'll cherish you. On the enemy pirate ship, a burly, ugly pirate was shouting wildly. The ruthless slayer Dasami, with a bounty of 150 million berries, is a formidable pirate in the first half of the Grand Line, but he's rather dim-witted, daring to target Boa Hancock. Sister Snake Princess, let's go. Let's wipe out these villains. The sisters, Sandasonia and Marigold, angrily volunteered for the fight. No need. I will personally turn these wretched, filthy men into stones, then cut them into 8 pieces and throw them into the sea to feed the fish. The Pirate Empress's gaze left Mu Fan, and she once again became cold and arrogant. For the proud Empress, any man who dares to provoke her will pay the price. No one but Mu Fan can control her. Let me do it. Could I have a knife, Hancock? Mu Fan suddenly spoke up. He thought to himself, I hope it doesn't harm the poor fish. What kind of fish can swallow stones? Of course, his main purpose was to test how well his strength had recovered. Mu Fan, is that you? The Pirate Empress's stunning beauty was startled. In the next instant, she covered her lips with her delicate hand, her beautiful eyes filled with emotion. Is Mu Fan protecting her? Protecting her like a husband protects his wife. Is this love? Mu Fan really does love her. Ah! The Pirate Empress almost lost her balance and fell to the ground, but fortunately Marigold caught her in time. Mu Fan, don't be reckless. The other party is a great pirate with a bounty of 150 million berries. You're already so badly injured, you shouldn't take the risk. Sandasonia tried to persuade Mu Fan. It's obvious they don't believe Mu Fan can defeat Dasmi. Even so, she still drew a knife and handed it to Mu Fan. She wondered if Mu Fan's incompetent yet pretentious behavior might bring Snake Princess back to her senses. After all, the Pirate Empress is behaving very abnormally today. Especially in front of Mu Fan. Thanks. Mu Fan took the knife, ignoring Sandasonia's little scheme. He knew that although the Empress was love-struck, the Nine Serpent clan was, after all, a warrior race that naturally worshipped the strong. If he doesn't demonstrate absolute power, he won't find peace even if he's with the Empress, he'll certainly continue his underhanded tactics. As Mu Fan took the knife, walked to the bow of the ship, and faced the enemy directly. The female warriors of the Kuja pirates present all clenched their hands in prayer. I pray that Mufan will defeat the enemy. Of course, prayers aside, at least apart from the Empress, no one else believed Mu Fan would win. After all, Mu Fan looked severely injured, and it seemed that all the important joints in his body were damaged, so his strength must have been reduced to less than 1/100th. And the opponent, no matter what, is a vicious pirate with a bounty of 150 million berries. Hey, who are you? What are you doing on the Pirate Empress's ship? Oh, I remember now, you seem to be a navy officer. How did you end up in such a sorry state, and even got involved with the Pirate Empress? Could it be that you're some gigolo living off the Empress? A navy kid? Lulalala. At this moment, the pirate Dasami burst into laughter. He actually knew Mu Fan's identity. After all, Mu Fan was very famous in the navy. If he had run into Mu Fan yesterday, he would have definitely turned and run away. But now, things are different. The news had already spread throughout this sea area. The strongest and youngest rear admiral in naval history committed an extremely heinous crime, was defeated by a naval admiral dispatched by the Navy headquarters, and disappeared. Non-death is abolition. He's really lucky, he actually ran into such an unlucky guy. If he could cut off the head of this strongest rear admiral in naval history and send it to Marine headquarters, he could probably become one of the 7 warlords of the sea, right? Wouldn't it be incredibly satisfying to be a Shishibukai, embracing the Pirate Empress and legally abducting and toying with women? Upon realizing this, Dasmi burst into maniacal laughter. Lulalala. Buzz. Just as Dasmi was looking forward to the future. Centered on Mu Fan, an extremely powerful spiritual pressure rippled outwards. Chapter 8. As that powerful mental pressure spread out, everyone present, except for the Pirate Empress, was stunned and speechless. Even all of the Pirate Dasami's crew members collapsed unconscious on the deck due to the immense mental shock. Dasami himself was like a puppet, his pupils dilated, cold sweat pouring down his face, completely motionless. Such powerful conquerors haki. A kingly talent 1 in a million. Truly worthy of being the man I've chosen. My judgment is excellent. The Pirate Empress, her delicate hands cupping her blushing face, was completely absorbed in her own self-conquest. By the time Sandasonia and the others realized what was happening, the scene unfolding before their eyes left them speechless. All I saw was a slash like a rainbow piercing the sun illuminated the sky. The pirate Dasami, with a bounty of 150 million berries, had his head severed in an instant, blood gushing out. Even the massive pirate ship, more than twice the size of the perfume serpent, was split in 2 and is rapidly sinking. Everyone, including the 2 imperial sisters, was deeply shocked. A single slash. Just one slash. They completely wiped out a pirate crew with a bounty of over 100 million. In addition, he possesses rare royal qualities. Is this the strength of the youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history? Mu Fan, what kind of man is he really? But shouldn't Mu Fan be severely injured and have all his strength destroyed? How could they possess such formidable strength? The female warriors of the Kuja pirates were stunned for a long time, but then they burst into cheers. That's a celebration of Mu Fan's victory. After the battle, before the ship sank, Mu Fan rescued all the civilians imprisoned on the Dasmi pirate ship, most of whom were young and pitiful women. The Darsemi pirates have committed numerous atrocities, their fate is to be buried at the bottom of the sea. However, the civilians who were plundered and imprisoned by the Dasami pirates were all innocent, and Mu Fan left the intact lifeboat to these civilians. During this process, Mu Fan sighed slightly. Although he's no longer in the navy, his occupational habits remain. At least, he still had his own sense of justice. When he encountered those wicked pirates, he couldn't help but take action to annihilate them. Mu Fan's move this time. He won the favor of almost the entire Kuja pirates. Even the two imperial sisters changed their opinion of Mu Fan considerably. Sandisonia also apologized to Mu Fan for her previous ulterior motives. Mu Fan naturally didn't care about any of this. He was thinking about something. During this period of time, among the pirates in the first half of the Grand Line, the most troublesome were the so-called supernova pirates led by Straw Hat Luffy, Captain Kidd, and Trafalgar Law. That's right. The current timeline is on the eve of the Marineford War. Before he killed the Celestial Dragon in a fit of rage, the Navy had already released news that Fire Fist Ace was about to be executed, in order to lure the Whitebeard pirates into a trap. And one day earlier, Kizaru once led a science unit to the Sabayati archipelago on a mission. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, he'll probably be kicking one supernova after another. Mu Fan didn't have much of an opinion on the so-called supernova pirates and the Straw Hat Luffy crew. Unfortunately, Mu Fan is a rear admiral in the Navy headquarters. If they were in his territory, none of these supernovae would amount to anything. Especially that Captain Eusticid, who deliberately destroyed towns and committed arson, murder, and looting in order to obtain a high bounty, such a pirate deserves to die. As for Straw Hat Luffy, this chosen one is indeed somewhat special. Mu Fan served in the Navy for 10 years, rising from an ordinary marine to become the youngest rear admiral in history, and knew that the world was extremely complex. Take Straw Hat Luffy for example. His background is so powerful that even the Navy wouldn't dare to make a move against him easily. After all, among the younger generation of naval commanders, who hasn't owed a debt of gratitude to the hero Garp? I initially thought that chasing the throne with just a rubber fruit would be a thrilling story. But who would have thought that even the gum fruit, after awakening, would be a mythical Zoan-type god fruit in Nika form? Therefore, Mu Fan maintained a neutral attitude towards these top second-generation pirates in the One Piece world, and had no good feelings towards them. As long as there is no conflict between them, there will be no hostility. But barring any unforeseen circumstances, he should be meeting Straw Hat Luffy soon. Based on the timeline, Luffy should be on Amazon Lily right now. In the original storyline, Luffy accidentally won over Boa Hancock's heart on Amazon Lily, essentially gaining the support of the entire Amazonian kingdom. Unfortunately, Mu Fan snatched it away this time. What? Aren't you worried that Luffy will steal the Empress away? If he doesn't even have this much confidence and ability, what kind of naval traitor is Mu Fan? He dared to kill even celestial dragons, so other people would be no match for him. During Mu Fan's return voyage to Daughter Island with the Empress and others, a naval warship has already stopped in the path that the Perfume Serpent is bound to take. And the commander of this naval warship is none other than Vice Admiral Momanga from the Navy headquarters. Half a day ago, Vice Admiral Momanga received another temporary mission besides recruiting the Pirate Empress. Searching for Mu Fan, a naval traitor whose fate is unknown. Lieutenant General Momanga didn't take this temporary mission seriously. He wasn't familiar with Mu Fan, nor did they belong to the same faction, so there was no question of regret. Since Mu Fan's fate is unknown, and even if he survives, he will most likely be a cripple, there is no need to waste energy searching for him. After all, there are more important things to do right now. The Navy is about to face an unprecedented war. In comparison, Mu Fan is insignificant. In the eyes of truly top-tier experts, he and Mu Fan, being masters of similar caliber, were simply not a decisive force. Therefore, the Navy needs to summon all the 7 warlords of the sea. Vice Admiral Momanga, the Kuja pirate's ship has appeared. Mu Fan, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about me? The interior of the Perfume Serpent. After fantasizing about the entire process of falling in love, getting married, and having children, the Pirate Empress finally couldn't resist getting close to Mu Fan. At that moment, Mu Fan was studying the system when he was startled by the Empress's words and almost fell over. However, due to losing his balance, he still fell towards the Empress, whose beautiful eyes were filled with affection. Smack! As fate would have it, the two burning passions made their first contact. Then came the entanglement. The atmosphere gradually intensified. Mu Fan's feelings at this moment can only be described in one word. Comfortable. Just as the atmosphere was deepening and Mu Fan was about to get to know the world's most beautiful woman in his arms better. Suddenly, there was another loud knocking on the hatch. The world's most beautiful woman, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, the Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, her crimson face radiating an overwhelming rage. Lady Snake Princess, a naval warship has been spotted ahead, and a Vice Admiral requests your presence. Chapter 9. Ahem. Boa Hancock, the Pirate Empress. At this very moment, on a naval warship, Vice Admiral Momangale on the deck, glaring resentfully at the Pirate Empress. And there were 5 daggers stuck in his left hand. The bleeding wouldn't stop. I reckon my entire left hand is almost ruined. But he really had no other choice. If this method isn't used, even he wouldn't be able to withstand the Pirate Empress's petrification ability. Most of his marines have been turned to stone. What a tragedy! He just came to recruit the 7 warlords of the sea. This Pirate Empress has lost her mind for some unknown reason. Before he could even finish a sentence, the Pirate Empress began to petrify on a large scale as she boarded the ship. Without saying a word, he led his men to plunder the naval warships, taking away all the valuables. Vice Admiral Momanga still hasn't realized what's happening. Why would Boa Hancock, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, be so ruthless towards the Marines? Did he offend this woman? Damn it! Mu Fan had anticipated encountering flying squirrels on the way to Daughter Island. I just didn't expect this guy to arrive at such a convenient time. If the Empress hadn't been somewhat restrained, this flying squirrel would probably be chopped into 8 pieces today. Mu Fan and the flying squirrel had a casual relationship and did not belong to the same faction within the Navy. Vice Admiral Momanga belongs to the same faction as Admiral Akainu. Mu Fan did not belong to any particular faction. If one had to categorize him, his relationship with Admiral candidate Momuzagi was extremely close, so he could be considered to be in the same faction as Momuzagi. The relationship between Momuzagi and Akainu is not very good either. After all, Akainu's concept of justice is too extreme. Although many Marines follow him, there are also many who oppose him. Therefore, in order not to reveal his whereabouts, Mu Fan did not show himself. It would be very troublesome if the flying squirrel found him. Moreover, he also planned to give the world government and the Navy a surprise. After looting the flying squirrel's naval warships, the Perfume Serpent sailed into the calm belt. Daughter Island is right before our eyes. Mu Fan activated his observation haki and discovered that there were indeed many giant sea kings beneath the surface of the sea. Moreover, there was indeed not a breath of wind in this sea area. The calm belt truly lives up to its name. I wonder if Straw Hat Luffy were given a small boat, with his chosen one luck, he could successfully leave the calm belt and appear in Marineford. However, it's still possible, after all, that guy survived being in a barrel of liquor. I remember Luffy, in the future, when fighting Kaido of the Beasts, enduring the flames and shouting, "Because I have perseverance." Mu Fan couldn't help but want to laugh. The author of One Piece must have run out of things to write. Unfortunately, for Mu Fan, this world is real, not virtual. Straw Hat Luffy wants to become the Pirate King? Then let's really give it our all. If they ever become enemies, Mu Fan won't hold back. Not even a trace. When the Perfume Serpent sailed into the port of Daughter Island, thousands of Amazonian citizens were already waiting at the port to welcome the Empress's return. To the utter astonishment of the entire nation, their emperor actually brought back a man. Men are forbidden from entering the Amazon lily that is the kingdom's ironclad rule. However, the Pirate Empress didn't seem to have any intention of explaining to her people. She simply said, Whatever I do is right, and that was enough to win over the entire nation. In response, Mu Fan could only say, "The world's most beautiful woman is not just beautiful, is it possible that she is also a powerful weapon?" Mu Fan and Hancock rode together on the dragon carriage, escorted by the strong men of the Nine Serpent clan to the palace. Surrounded by a group of valiant female warriors from the Nine Serpent clan, Mu Fan thoroughly enjoyed the moment. For 10 years in the navy, he spent his days either training or on missions to fight the enemy, and hadn't had a moment of leisure in a long time. Mu Fan was deeply moved by the Pirate Empress who protected him in every way and treated him so kindly. Finding a woman you fall in love with, a woman you love forever, a woman you're crazy about, is not easy, and he cherishes her dearly. If given the chance, he will help the Empress kill those celestial dragons who enslaved the three sisters. A gift for the Empress, a true display of arrogance. Upon arriving at the palace of the Amazon Lily Kingdom, Mu Fan specifically reminded them. The Kuja pirates quickly spotted Straw Hat Luffy running around the island and brought him to Mu Fan and the Pirate Empress. For Luffy, the Pirate Empress didn't even glance at it. If Mu Fan hadn't been there, she probably would have already chopped him into 8 pieces. "Hey! I know you, Shui Fan." The moment Luffy saw Mu Fan, he was as excited as if he had seen a family member. Mu Fan was speechless for a moment. "You're the one who's watery, your whole family is watery." "Hey? Did I remember wrong? Jin Fan? Fire mortal? Earth mortal? It can't be Tai Fan, can it? That's strange, Grandpa always mentions you to me whenever he sees me." "That's strange, what's your name again?" Straw Hat Luffy grabbed his hair, trying hard to remember Mu Fan's name. Before he went to sea, every time they met, his grandfather would show him photos of the person being promoted or receiving awards to tempt him into joining the navy. Over time, although he had face blindness, he still remembered the person's general appearance, except for the name, which he was a little unsure of. "My name is Mu Fan." Mu Fan replied with a dark face, pressing down on the Empress's jade-like hand, because she was already itching to chop the Straw Hat into 8 pieces. "Ha! Yes, yes, that's the name. My grandpa always mentioned you to me." "Hello Shui Fan, I'm Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy." Straw Hat Luffy grinned, showing his teeth. Mu Fan was truly speechless at this point. It's best if Luffy is genuinely naive. If he's deliberately trying to get closer to others in this way, it'll be a bit scary. "Oh. Right, you're in the navy. The navy that Grandpa favored? What, are you here to arrest me?" Suddenly, Straw Hat Luffy's expression turned serious, and he adopted a fighting stance. In Luffy's view, a marine who is recognized by his grandfather must be no ordinary person. He and his crew have already paid the price for their arrogance in the Sabayati archipelago. The navy is full of experts, and this guy in front of me must be one of the best. He still needs to find his comrades, so he can't be captured. "I'm no longer a marine, Straw Hat Luffy. There's some news I'm sure you'd like to know. I'm telling you this news, as a way of thanking Lieutenant General Carp for his optimism over the years." Mu Fan said calmly, but his tone left no room for argument. It's unclear whether Luffy can understand what he's saying. In conclusion, if he encounters Luffy again and a conflict ensues, he won't care about Garp's feelings. "What news? Do you know where my companions are?" Luffy asked eagerly. His most pressing concern right now is reuniting with his friends. Knowing where they are now would save us a lot of trouble. "No, that's not it. The person who was swatted away by Tyrant Bear can only control the location himself." Mu Fan shook his head. He naturally knew where Robin, Zoro, and the other Straw Hat Pirates members were, but he had no obligation to tell Luffy, did he? "The news I'm about to tell you concerns another person, your brother, Porgas D. Ace, the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates in the New World. Fire Fist Ace is about to be publicly executed at Marineford, Marine Headquarters. Ding, select trigger. Chapter 10. Ding, select trigger. Choose 1, persuade the Pirate Empress to join the host in helping Straw Hat Luffy reach Impel Down. Reward, Orakai, a grade 21 great sword. Option 2, do not interfere with Straw Hat Luffy's affairs and send him out of the Amazon Lily Kingdom. Reward, grade 21 great sword, the legendary sword Shura. Just as Straw Hat Luffy was showing an expression of disbelief and shock, Mu Fan's system also triggered a choice. The rewards for both missions this time are renowned swords of the 21st grade great grade. This will serve as a transition period before Mu Fan goes to the Marine Headquarters to reclaim destiny. Ace, this can't be. How could Ace have been captured by the Navy? Straw Hat Luffy murmured almost blankly. In his view, Ace was incredibly strong, how could he possibly have been captured by the Marines? But when he took out the Burning Vivre card of Ace, he believed it. His brother, Fire Fist Ace, has indeed been captured by the Navy and is about to be executed. Where is Ace being held now, Mu Fan? Straw Hat Luffy's expression turned serious for the first time, and he looked at the composed Mu Fan and asked. Since Mu Fan knows this news, he must also know where Ace is being held, right? He's going to save Ace. For now, he's probably being held in Impel Down. Mu Fan glanced at Luffy and spoke. Where is Impel Down? I need to go save Ace. Straw Hat Luffy quickly regained his fighting spirit, raised his fist, and was about to go save Ace. Mu Fan couldn't help but chuckle at the sight. To be honest, this guy is incredibly optimistic. He's also very loyal. However, he doesn't want to get involved with Straw Hats for the time being. After all, given Luffy's knack for causing trouble, he'd be a handful no matter where he is. Especially in Impel Down. As for Mu Fan, before he can reclaim his destiny and ascend Marineford, it's best not to reveal his identity and power. Otherwise, if the world government's intelligence agencies discover that he is not only still alive, but also that his strength has not been diminished, without a doubt, he will be hunted down by the world government. At the very least, they will send out many troublesome CP0 agents to constantly investigate and hunt him down. This will make all his actions incredibly complicated. As for how to get to Marineford, Mu Fan already had his own plans. After all, he was once the youngest Rear Admiral in naval history. 10 years in the Navy, it certainly wasn't for nothing. After obtaining the approximate location of Impel Down, Straw Hat Luffy immediately started clamoring to leave, saying he needed to hurry and rescue poor Gas D Ace. Mu Fan didn't care whether this guy had any other ideas or not, and simply went with the flow. He had Sander Sonia prepare a small boat for Luffy and then sent him out of the comm belt. Mu Fan only did this because of Lieutenant General Garp. After all, he and Luffy had never crossed paths before, let alone had any friendship. Whether Luffy will successfully reach Marineford depends on his luck. Throughout the entire process of Mu Fan and Luffy's interaction, Boa Hancock, the Pirate Empress, has never even given Luffy a second glance. Her stunningly beautiful eyes were filled with Mu Fan's image. Mu Fan responded to this. As expected. After seeing Straw Hat Luffy off, Hancock issued an order. A banquet was held nationwide to welcome Mu Fan. In an instant, the entire nation of the Amazon Lily Kingdom was awestruck by the rumor that this woman had conquered the Empress. This even caused Lady Snake to break the kingdom's ironclad rules and become extremely interested in the men who entered Daughter Island. After all, this was based on information coming from the palace. The mysterious man beside that snake princess is incredibly handsome. What kind of sensation would it cause if a legendary handsome man suddenly appeared in a country where the entire population is female? This might serve as a reference for the scene when Tang Santang arrived in the Women's Kingdom. At the banquet on Daughter Island, Mu Fan ate the dazzling array of delicious food, but his expression remained somewhat restrained. He is indeed the strongest rear admiral in naval history. It's true that he has slain countless pirates and commanded thousands of marines. However, faced with thousands upon thousands of hot-bodied, beautiful female warriors of the Nine Serpent clan, and their burning gazes. This was indeed Mu Fan's first time. Mu Fan was even certain of it. If it weren't for the Empress always being by his side, these tens of thousands of female warriors could probably swarm him and tear him apart alive. That scene, ugh, I can't even imagine. The banquet lasted until evening. Afterwards, Mu Fan returned to the palace with the Pirate Empress. The Empress did not mention the Navy's recruitment of the 7 warlords of the sea. Mu Fan didn't ask, after all, it concerned the national affairs of the Amazon Lily Kingdom. However, even if Mu Fan didn't ask, someone else would naturally bring it up. Shortly after the Empress and Mu Fan returned to the palace, the two were admiring 5 stars in the sky. That's right, 5 bright stars. Medium white star, medium white star, medium white star, medium white star, medium white star. Just as the atmosphere was getting increasingly humid, an old woman leaning on a cane carrying 2 newspapers burst into the palace. Grandma knew glorious OSA. This moment, the Pirate Empress's once stunningly beautiful face had become extremely somber. Why? Why are they always interrupted when they're being intimate with Mu Fan? With a swift kick, the Empress sent Granny Nu flying out of the window. Thump! Mu Fan didn't even have time to stop it. That's right, it really was too late. Although Granny Nu was old, she was very healthy and soon reappeared before the Empress and Mu Fan. She glanced at Mu Fan, then looked at the news in her hand. Instantly, she was stunned. The former emperor of the Amazonian Lily Kingdom now wore an expression of extreme terror. You, are Rear Admiral? No, former Rear Admiral, Mu Fan. Grandma Nu asked, her voice trembling. Ah, yes, hello Grandma, I'm Mu Fan. Mu Fan smiled. He was not at all surprised by Grandma Nu's reaction. Because the front page of the news article that Granny Nu was holding was a wanted poster for Mu Fan. Granny Nu made a mistake in her youth, abandoning her kingdom. In her old age, she always wanted to protect the Amazon Lily. In addition, she was very knowledgeable, so it was natural that she would feel fear because of Mu Fan's arrival. Snake Princess, quick, kill him. This man will bring immense trouble to the kingdom, and might even destroy the Amazon Lily. Granny Nu darted to the Empress's side, glaring at Mu Fan with hostility, and urged him anxiously. Gloriosa, get into your place. I am the true Empress of the Amazonian Lily Kingdom. Mu Fan is the man I've fallen in love with. Do you want me to kill my fiancé, to kill the kingdom's son-in-law? Grandma Nu, degree? Chapter 11. Grandma Nu was stunned, her pupils dilated, as if struck by lightning. She never imagined that the Snake Princess, who had always hated men, would one day fall in love with one. That's fine. She even fell in love with a naval traitor who had just committed a heinous crime. What makes this man named Mu Fan so extraordinary? The youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history. He is hailed as the strongest contender for the future admiral. He committed heinous acts, defected from the navy, and abandoned his bright future. He conquered the heart of the Snake Princess. How could all these incidents be concentrated on one man? Unbelievable. But these are not reasons for Boa Hancock to act out. This man named Mu Fan is sure to be a huge disaster for the Amazonian Lily Kingdom. Even though Boa Hancock is one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Snake Princess, now is not the time for you to act impulsively. I still deeply regret the mistakes you made in the past. I hope you will not go down the wrong path again. This man is not your destined match. Granny Nu was determined to persuade the Empress, and didn't even care if she angered the proud Snake Princess. Before the Empress could fully unleash her fury, Mu Fan stepped forward and asked. Grandma Nu, could I see the newspaper you're holding? Although I don't know how you bewitched the Snake Princess, Amazonian lilies, you are not welcome. Grandma Niu looked at Mu Fan coldly, her tone harsh, but she still handed him the 2 newspapers in her hand. Mu Fan stopped the Empress from attacking Granny Niu in a fit of rage, then opened the newspaper. The Snake Princess actually listens to such a man, this man. Grandma Niu's eyes flickered, her expression filled with doubt and shock. Mu Fan flipped through the newspaper. The first image is an earlier news release from the Navy headquarters regarding the execution of Fire Fist Ace. It seems that Granny Niu's original purpose was to persuade the Empress to accept the summons to Marineford, but it just so happens that he appeared in today's news. Soon, Mu Fan saw the urgent arrest warrant published by the world government in the latest newspaper. Urgent arrest notice. Bounty on Mu Fan, a traitorous naval general. Bounty, 1 billion or 100 million berries, for capturing, killing, or providing reliable clues. Note, whether dead or alive. Special reminder, this is a naval traitor who has committed heinous acts. According to reliable sources, he is severely injured and crippled, and his strength is greatly diminished. Anyone, regardless of their identity, is welcome to hunt him down or provide reliable information to the world government and the Navy to obtain a bounty. Furthermore, no pirate organization or nation may shelter this person, otherwise, a buster call will be launched to eliminate him. After reading this special wanted notice, Mu Fan immediately became more wary. It seems he underestimated the extent of the world government's resentment towards him. Did the celestial dragon he killed have some special identity? Otherwise, wouldn't that be going too far? If that's the case, are there currently a large number of CP, cross-platform, members searching for him? Although nothing unusual has been found yet, Mu Fan remains extra vigilant. Fortunately, the reward from the previous mission, the legendary sword Shura, has already been credited to my account and is currently in my system space. The world government is truly laughable. They dare claim to have reliable information? A bunch of trash. Anyone who dares to harm my beloved, I'll tear them to pieces. When the Pirate Empress saw Mu Fan's wanted poster, her stunning face showed little doubt, but rather a hint of mockery. First of all, this bounty warrant proves that Mu Fan really did kill a celestial dragon. Secondly, did the world government and the Navy headquarters really believe that Mu Fan was severely injured and crippled? How ridiculous! The strength that Mu Fan displayed when he killed the pirate Dasami. His superb swordsmanship and powerful aura made him quite formidable, even for her. The man she's set her sights on is very strong. If the world government and the Navy headquarters believe in so-called intelligence, they will definitely pay the price. Snake Princess, this concerns the rise and fall of the kingdom, you can't be reckless. And boy Mu Fan, you seem to have only suffered some external injuries. Grandma Niu's expression remained serious. However, in her opinion, although Mu Fan did appear to be injured, his mental and physical condition did not seem to indicate any serious injury. At least he doesn't appear to be in a state of severe injury and incapacitation as stated in the bounty poster. Was it all an act? Or perhaps there was a problem with the intelligence from the world government and the Navy headquarters. Strangeness. Grandma, you can really rest assured, I won't cause any trouble for Amazon Lily, unless you intend to capture me and hand me over to the world government. Mu Fan said with a smile, but there was a hint of probing in his words. Upon his arrival, even though the Empress was infatuated with him, he was not very familiar with the customs and culture of the Amazon Lily Kingdom. The situation is unique now. Until he has the power to make the world government extremely wary, he must proceed with caution in all aspects. Snort. Grandma Niu snorted coldly and ignored Mu Fan. Who knows if this kid is telling the truth or lying? A naval traitor who committed heinous crimes, this very identity alone makes him someone to be wary of. I don't know what got into Snake Princess, she actually fell in love with a man like that. Glorious OSA, I'll say it again, watch your words. He, Mu Fan, is the man I've fallen in love with. At this point, the Pirate Empress was on the verge of going berserk. If Mu Fan hadn't been stopping her, she would have kicked that old woman out of the country 108,000 miles away long ago. Grandma Nu, you must have come to see Hancock for something else, so I won't bother you any longer. Mu Fan, where are you going? I'll go with you. When the Pirate Empress saw Mu Fan about to leave, she was startled. Her jade-like hand instinctively grabbed the hem of Mu Fan's clothes, her beautiful eyes filled with reluctance. Upon seeing this, Grandma Nu's face immediately darkened. Look at her. Where is even a trace of the majesty and domineering presence that a Pirate Empress should have? I'm injured and need to rest. We have plenty of time, don't rush. I'll go back to the room Sandasonia arranged for me. Mu Fan removed the Empress's hand and responded. The Empress nodded, her expression at that moment resembling that of a child being prevented from playing with their toys. However, she quickly realized the key point. There is ample time. Yes, there's plenty of time. The moment Mu Fan left the palace where the Pirate Empress and Granny Nu were, he unleashed his full observation haki. That's right, he has mastered all 3 types of haki, but he hasn't reached the pinnacle yet. However, for now, it's sufficient. For example, he quickly discovered 2 interesting things. After returning to the room Sandasonia had arranged for him, Mu Fan changed the medicine for his external injuries and then quietly fell asleep. It quickly came to midnight. Although female guards were still on duty in the palace of the Amazon Lily, it was unusually quiet. Suddenly, clang! Clang! 2 black knives burst through the window from the outside and pierced through the wooden bed where Mu Fan was sleeping. Ha, truly worthy of being called the strongest rear admiral in naval history. Even severely injured, you can still flirt with the Pirate Empress. Too bad, you're about to die. Chapter 12. The sea breeze blew through the wooden window at midnight. Under the moonlight, the murderous intent was palpable. 2 slender, tall figures wearing strange masks and white cloaks squatted in front of Mu Fan's bed, coldly watching the bed pierced by the twin blades like night hawks hunting their prey. One of them, with a hoarse voice, made sarcastic remarks. This mission was really quite boring. Is a crippled rear admiral really worth a massive CP0 operation, traversing hundreds of nautical miles to search for him? The youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history is nothing compared to CP0. Number 6, don't get too excited, we were careless. At this moment, another mysterious figure suddenly spoke up to offer a reminder. Oh, it seems we underestimated this naval traitor. The mysterious figure codenamed 6 smiled coldly, then flashed away, simultaneously throwing 3 throwing knives into the shadows. Clang! 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 3 throwing knives were embedded in the wall, making a crisp metallic sound. The 2 mysterious figures were finally taken aback. There was no one on the bed pierced by 2 knives, only a punctured water bag. And the attack by 6 was clearly dodged by the target once again. This is absolutely not something someone who has directly suffered a full blow from the Yasakani no Megatama could do. CP0, your reaction, is too slow. At this very moment, a figure slowly emerged from the darkness. Under the moonlight, the figure was tall and agile, and beneath the tousled hair was a resolute and handsome face. At this moment, Mu Fan appeared calm and composed, one hand gripping the Shura sword at his waist. His extraordinary aura showed no sign of serious injury. Naval traitor, Mu Fan. The CP0 members, codenamed 6 and 7, were frozen in place during the mission, not daring to move an inch. Because at this moment, dozens of extremely powerful sword energies surrounded them, like dozens of sharp, renowned blades, ready to take their lives at any moment. To be honest, the 2 CP0 members were genuinely shocked. Even though they have undergone extremely rigorous training. Even though they have carried out countless missions. But I have never encountered such swordsmanship before. It is certain that these sword energies were already in place before they entered the room. And this means their target, the naval traitor Mu Fan, had already discovered their existence. Is this something someone severely injured and crippled could do? And this guy doesn't look seriously injured at all. Could it be that the intelligence provided by the Marine headquarters to the world government was false? Why aren't you seriously injured? How could you still possess such strength after being struck by Admiral Kizaru's Yasakani no Megatama? 6. The voice, hoarse, asked, his tone filled with doubt. But in the next instant, disregarding the surrounding sword energy, he severed one of his arms and threw it out the window, the arm containing a device for sending signal flares. Whoosh! Buzz! To the surprise of the two CP0 members. As 6 threw out his arm, the sword energy that surrounded him came alive and began to churn wildly. In a single instant, it shredded Six's arm to pieces. Damn it! Codenamed 6 and 7 exchanged a glance, then prepared to unleash their armament haki simultaneously to break through the sword aura encirclement. At that moment, Mu Fan finally moved. In order to avoid causing too much of a commotion and panic among the people of Daughter Island, he deliberately set up a sword aura purgatory in advance, with the aim of eliminating the two CP0s who discovered him. Buzz! Just as the two CP0 members unleashed their armament haki, a powerful mental shock directly crushed them, causing them to lose their focus for a moment. That one moment was enough to be fatal. The amputee, codenamed 6, had his skull shattered by Mu Fan's no-blade hand chop, and died instantly. In his dying moments, Six's eyes were filled with disbelief and endless resentment. Another CP0 member, codenamed 7, had his spine shattered by Mu Fan, leaving him with a complete corpse. Without lingering, Mu Fan left a letter for the Empress and then carried the two CP0 corpses away from the palace. Because Mu Fan deliberately set things up, and because his residence was somewhat far from the Empress's palace, the Empress, who was fast asleep, was unaware that a battle was taking place in the palace. For Mu Fan, it was naturally impossible for him to cause trouble for the Amazonian Lily Kingdom. Moreover, given the current situation, he cannot reach Marine headquarters with the Empress's help. After all, he's not some tiny little guy like Luffy. On the contrary, he was tall, big, and hard. The Empress couldn't stand it. Therefore, he had already devised a strategy for going to Marineford before the system task was even issued. After all, even without a mission, he would still go to retrieve his sword, Destiny. Daughter Island. Grandma Nu's residence. Tonight, Granny Naliasa, who once served as the kingdom's emperor, is suffering from insomnia. No matter how much she pleaded, she couldn't persuade the Snake Princess to accept the Navy's summons. In addition, there was the existence of that naval traitor. The current situation in the Amazonian Lily Kingdom is extremely precarious. If Boa Hancock does not respond to the Navy's forced summons, she will definitely be stripped of her title as one of the 7 warlords of the sea. At that time, the Amazon Lily Kingdom will become a pirate nation, constantly suffering attacks from the Navy and targeting by the world government. On the other hand, if the world government discovers that Boa Hancock is sheltering the traitorous Marine Admiral Maki, Amazon Lily's fate will be even more tragic. The Buster Call. The fact that O'Hara, the archaeological island, was wiped off the map by a Buster Call at the beginning of the year shocked the world. These two issues, which could lead to a huge crisis for the kingdom, gave Granny Nu a deep headache. However, the most urgent task at present is to send Boa Hancock to Marineford as summoned. Ideally, Mu Fan should also leave Daughter Island. But even if he refuses to leave, Daughter Island is a closed country surrounded by calm zones, so news shouldn't spread easily. Of course, even persuading the Snake Princess to agree to accept the call was a mental drain for Granny Nu, and she ultimately failed miserably. That girl, Snake Princess, seems to be blinded by love, determined to stay on Daughter Island to accompany Mu Fan. Is it possible that the only option is to ask that kid named Mu Fan to help persuade the Snake Princess? Grandma Nu was very hesitant at that moment. Bang bang bang. Just then, a rapid knocking sounded on the door. Grandma Nu's expression hardened. It's the middle of the night, why would anyone knock on an old woman's door? Grandma Nu, it's me, Mu Fan. Please open the door. I mean no harm, otherwise, this door wouldn't be able to stop me. A gentle yet firm voice came from outside the door. Grandma Nu hesitated for a moment, but ultimately decided to open the door. She thought to herself, this old woman, want to see what this boy is up to. However, when the door was opened, Grandma Nu was so frightened that she jumped 3 meters tall. This Mu Fan is actually carrying 2 corpses. And look at the corpse's attire. It was none other than the World Government's Intelligence Organization, CP0. It must be CP0, otherwise they wouldn't be able to enter Daughter Island so easily. The World Government's Intelligence Organization has infiltrated. Has news of Mu Fan's situation on Daughter Island also been relayed to the World Government? Upon realizing this, Granny Nu was so frightened that she collapsed to the ground. Grandma Nu, don't worry, those 2 haven't spread the news of my presence on Daughter Island. Also, I need your help with something. Chapter 13. You want to leave Daughter Island immediately? No, at least not now. At this moment, Grandma Nu shook her head, her tone very firm. Mu Fan asked her to help him thoroughly dispose of a CP0 corpse. This is not difficult for her. Even if the world government sends another 100 CP0 agents to search, they will not be able to find any clues. But then Mu Fan actually told her, we must take the other CP0 corpse and leave Daughter Island immediately. She could actually understand why Mu Fan did what he did. CP0 bodies can be destroyed, but the fact that CP0 visited Amazon Lily and did not leave is difficult to erase. As the world government's top intelligence organization, CP0 certainly has methods to track the movements of its members. Therefore, Mu Fan was probably trying to create the illusion that CP0 had visited Daughter Island but left without discovering anything. This changed her opinion of Mu Fan quite a bit. He must be a man with a strong sense of justice. However, Mu Fan cannot leave yet. Of all the people on Amazon Lily, the only one who could persuade Boa Hancock to accept the call to go to Marine headquarters is probably Mu Fan. And this also concerns the future of the kingdom. I know what you're worried about, Grandma Nu. Don't worry, Hancock will accept the Navy's summons tomorrow and go to Marineford. As for this body, you can handle it. Mu Fan didn't say much. He pointed to the cold, stiff corpse of Codename 6 on the ground, then picked up Codename 7 and disappeared. Hey, I'm talking to you. What an rude man, just like the Snake Princess, he doesn't know how to respect the elderly. Grandma Nu wanted to say something more, but Mu Fan had already vanished without a trace, so she could only mutter a complaint. Then, she turned her gaze to the corpses of the CP0 members, her expression gradually becoming serious. It seems that the world government and the Navy headquarters have indeed made a major intelligence blunder. Mu Fan, hailed as the strongest rear admiral in naval history, was not seriously injured, nor was his strength diminished. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to kill 2 CP0 members so easily. Furthermore, the world government and the Marine headquarters seem to be completely convinced of the intelligence that Mu Fan is severely injured and crippled, otherwise, these 2 CP0 members wouldn't have so easily shown up to capture him. They must have believed Mu Fan was seriously injured, which is why they attacked him to claim all the credit. World Government and Navy Headquarters, it seems you will pay a heavy price for this intelligence failure. Could it even affect the upcoming Great Battle? I'm really looking forward to it. Grandma Nu's gaze was deep. Decades ago, she traveled the seas and met many outstanding men. Let's look at it from the perspective of the kingdom. This young man named Mu Fan is an exceptionally outstanding individual in every aspect. He is indeed the youngest and strongest rear admiral in naval history. The Navy. One day she'll regret losing Mu Fan. Ah! A sharp scream shattered the morning tranquility of the palace. The world's most beautiful woman, the Pirate Empress Boa Hancock, collapsed on the dragon bed, looking incredibly weak. He seemed listless and melancholy, as if he were ill. This situation occurred at the same time that the Empress learned that Mu Fan had left Daughter Island. Princess Sandasonia and the others were extremely worried, thinking that the Empress had contracted some strange illness, but none of the kingdom's doctors could cure her. They didn't even know what illness the Empress had. Left with no other choice, Sandasonia and the others had no choice but to drag over Granny Nu, the most knowledgeable woman in the kingdom. Seeing the Empress's listless and melancholy appearance, Granny Nu quickly drew her own conclusion. The Snake Princess is lovesick. Grandma Nu's tone was a mixture of speechlessness and shock. She never imagined that the Snake Queen would love Mu Fan to such an extent. The storms of love can be incredibly cruel to the Emperor of the Nine Serpent clan. Once he falls ill with lovesickness, it can even be fatal. Fortunately, Mu Fan doesn't seem to be a heartless man. Just as everyone was asking how to treat lovesickness, Margaret, a warrior from the kingdom's guard, rushed in anxiously with a letter in her hand. "My Lady Snake Princess, I found a letter left by Lord Mu Fan in his room." Mu Fan? Is this a letter Mu Fan left for me? Upon hearing Mu Fan's name, the Empress jumped to her feet and snatched the letter from him with her delicate hand. "My spirits are no longer low, and my temperament is no longer melancholy." The letter Mu Fan left for the Empress didn't contain much, it only contained a single, simple sentence. "Hancock, see you again in Marineford, Muffin. Mu Fan hasn't abandoned me. Goodbye Marineford. All right. Inform those stinking Marines in the comm belt that I accept the Marine headquarters summons. Tell them to prepare and depart for Marineford immediately." With a flick of her jade-like finger, the Pirate Empress regained her haughty demeanor on her stunningly beautiful face. Grandma Nu looked at the Empress's spirited appearance and sighed. Mu Fan was right, Snake Princess actually agreed to the Navy's conscription. However, is Snake Princess completely outmaneuvered? Mu Fan left Daughter Island with the body code-named 7. They left traces of their actions along the way, landing on 3 islands before stopping on the 4th. When Mu Fan was still in the Navy, he had some dealings with CP0 during missions and had some understanding of the organization's methods of operation. For him, fabricating some action tracks was not difficult. Mu Fan then left behind a mask code-named 7 and cut off some of 7's skin tissue to disguise himself. He basically changed the shape of his face and added a few hideous scars so that acquaintances wouldn't easily recognize him. Actually, if Mu Fan simply wanted to infiltrate Marineford, it wouldn't be difficult. The problem is, it's currently unknown who has his sword, Destiny. Moreover, even if they successfully infiltrate, the Navy headquarters has many skilled personnel, and successfully reclaiming Skixel will not be an easy task. Therefore, Mu Fan needs an identity. A disguised identity that would allow him to smoothly infiltrate the Marine headquarters and unexpectedly reclaim his destiny. There is only one identity that can meet both of these conditions. Navy. The thought that he, the strongest rear admiral in naval history, now had to disguise himself as a naval officer to achieve his goal filled Mu Fan with a sense of helplessness. However, this is the safest option. After all, his current strength is not yet at the level where he can ignore everything. As for how to disguise himself as a naval officer, and which branch of the naval officer he should impersonate, Mu Fan had not yet made a final decision. The closest force was naturally the Flying Squirrel's army. But this doesn't seem to work, as a vice admiral, Momonga doesn't have the authority to recruit new Marines. As for sneaking in, that's even more impossible. Because the Empress had already petrified all the Marines on the Flying Squirrel ship except for the Flying Squirrel itself. Moreover, there weren't many Marines on this warship, making it very difficult to sneak in. This isn't a novel where you can ignore extras. Therefore, Fan needs to find a suitable naval force that is qualified to participate in the Marineford War and that he can infiltrate. For example, Chapter 14. The seas have been unusually lively lately. First, the pirates, hailed as the Supernova Generation, were defeated one by the Navy at the Sabayati Archipelago, scattering like birds and beasts. Following that, 2 news stories shocked the world. The world government announced that it will publicly execute the pirate Porgas d'Ace at Marine headquarters. An unprecedented and massive storm is brewing on this sea. Against this backdrop, Fan, hailed as the youngest and strongest Rear Admiral in naval history, is a representative of the new generation of naval leaders. He commits an extremely heinous crime and is given a high bounty, thus becoming a naval traitor. Ambitious individuals across the vast ocean have sensed the arrival of a new era and are beginning to stir. And the Navy headquarters. In preparation for the epic battle 2 days later, a large-scale mobilization of elite navies from around the world began, gathering them in Marineford. Smoker, who had been promoted to Brigadier General after the Alabasta incident, was on his way to Marineford to regroup. Smoker's mood has been fluctuating these past 2 days. On the one hand, the upcoming epic battle is exactly the stage he desires. As a naval officer with a strong sense of justice, he longed for battles of this caliber to earn merit and advance his career. After all, even his target, the Straw Hat crew, has a bounty on their heads. On the other hand, Fan's betrayal greatly surprised him. That guy, although he was also a disciple of Master Zephyr, was even a few years younger than him. But that's always been the person he's been striving to catch up with. Moreover, Fan possesses a strong sense of justice. How could he possibly rebel? Could it be that? Did he really kill a celestial dragon, as the rumors say? World governments do indeed try to cover up such events and prevent them from spreading. However, it does indeed resemble Fan's style. Smoker's only hope now is that Fan doesn't die or get caught by CP0. That way, he'll have the chance to catch Fan himself and ask him what happened. Certainly. That is, assuming that Fan is truly as weak as the bounty poster says. After all, even Professor Zephyr was defeated by that guy. Commodore Smoker, on orders from Naval Headquarters. At this moment, the office door, located in the best position for visibility from the warship, was pushed open. A naval warrant officer wearing a white mask and standing tall entered and reported. "Ah, I understand, I'll be right there." Smoker, with the smoking cigar dangling from his lips, glanced at the warrant officer and replied. 7. Why do you always wear a mask? For the Navy, a scar is an honor. Brigadier General Smoker, this is my habit. The orders from headquarters seem urgent, and the Den Mushi hasn't hung up yet. The naval warrant officer named 7 answered calmly. Smoker nodded, without giving it much thought, and got up to head to the communications room. The naval warrant officer followed behind Smoker. This naval warrant officer named 7. That would naturally be Fan. He disguised his face with the epidermal tissue codenamed 7 and also changed the color of the mask codenamed 7 before wearing it. Therefore, he named his disguised identity 7. I originally wanted to name her Mookie. But he was worried that if he ran into a close friend, it might trigger their imagination. Therefore, I will use a pseudonym, number 7. All of this was for the purpose of successfully infiltrating Marine headquarters, Marineford. As for why Fan joined Smoker's team, it was a decision he made after careful consideration. First, Smoker was not a general in the main force, but he had the authority to recruit a small number of new soldiers to supplement the troops. Secondly, Smoker's forces will definitely head to Marine headquarters to assemble, and since they are not from the same period, Mu Fan and Smoker do not have much interaction. At least, compared to Aunt Momuzagi and Senior Hina. Smoker knew very little about him, so little that he would doubt his identity based on a few minor details. In addition, Mu Fan happened to run into a remnant of the pirate crew who had escaped from Smoker. He then killed him, successfully gaining access to Smoker's forces. The pirate has a bounty of 500,000 berries. Not high. But it's not something an ordinary marine could kill. Therefore, Smoker promoted Mu Fan directly to warrant officer. This rank is naturally quite ordinary. But that's the best Smoker could do as a commodore. Generally, for a naval officer to become a full-fledged junior officer, direct approval from the Navy headquarters is required. Moreover, unless someone has a powerful background, their contributions will be thoroughly investigated. The requirements for promotion are extremely stringent. This is why Mu Fan is both envied and resented by countless people within the Navy.